You ever get that feeling, where you've been rejected, but you can't quite put your finger on how or why? It could be a weird vibe in a room, or someone shooting down your argument, a moral judgment, or just a cold, impersonal no from a system. Well, it turns out rejection has a structure. Today, we're going to unpack a really powerful framework inspired by the psychoanalyst Jacques Lacan that gives us a language for all these different levels of judgment. And trust me, by the end of this, you're going to have a brand new lens for seeing the machinery of judgment that is all around us.
Okay, this sentence right here, this is our key. It's a spin on a core Lacanian idea, and it unlocks everything we're about to talk about. Basically, it's saying that any claim to being legit involves three things. You've got an authority doing the judging, a will, that's the person or idea seeking recognition, and a system of rules that gives that authority its power. That relationship right there is the engine that drives both acceptance and rejection. So here's the plan. First, we'll get our terms straight. Then, we're going to climb this ladder of rejection, starting at the most primal, gut level, and work our way all the way up to the cold, hard logic of systems. And finally, we'll see why understanding this whole structure is so incredibly important. All right, to really get into this, we need a shared vocabulary. This framework gives us 4 core terms that are going to be the building blocks for everything else. Here they are, our 4 key players. First, you've got the authority, the one making the call. Then the will. That's the person or idea being judged. Third is the system, the rule book they're being judged against. And then there's this 4th, really fascinating element, the body. Now, this isn't just your physical body. It's everything that escapes words, the affect, the presence, the vibes. In Lacan's world, this is the object petite a, that part of us that can't be neatly defined, but is still felt so intensely. And these 4 terms, they map perfectly onto 4 distinct degrees of rejection. We start at degree 0 with a raw, visceral reaction to the body. Then we move up to 1, where a person's will gets debated. At 2, an authority steps in and passes a moral judgment. And finally, at level 3, the system just sorts us, objectively, or so it claims. Let's start at the bottom and work our way up. Welcome to degree 0. This is the most fundamental, the most basic level of judgment, and it happens before anyone even says a word. Think about it. You walk into a job interview, a party, any new space, and you're sized up instantly. This is a judgment of what you could call visceral legitimacy, or, the immediate lack of it. This isn't an argument. It's a statement of pure, pre-rational feeling. You walk into a room, and to someone in that room, you just feel wrong. Or maybe you feel right. But there's no reason given, because at this level, reasons just don't apply. So yeah, this level is all about vibes, your style, your presence, the way you hold yourself. It's a gut-level affinity or aversion. And the key thing to get here is you cannot argue with a flinch. This isn't a debate. It's a gut-level dismissal. The judgment happens right on the terrain of the body, a body that's already been prejudged by a whole web of social norms before you've even had a chance to speak. Okay, now let's move up to the 1st degree and see how things change. We're leaving that silent world of gut feelings and we're stepping into the noisy arena of language, of debate, of disagreement. The body now has a voice. Notice that shift? It's a big one. It's no longer you feel wrong, it's you are wrong. We've just entered a shared space where we can actually argue about what's true or false. This is a judgment on your words, on your argument, and suddenly you have the right to argue back. In Lacanian terms, this is what's called the hysteric's discourse, and it's a super powerful position to be in. It's the person who stands up to authority and asks, why? Justify your rules. Says who? This is the voice of the protester, the activist, the whistleblower, really anyone who challenges the status quo and demands that power explain itself. It's a full-on battle of wills, played out with words. But what happens when that authority just stops arguing back? Well, at the 2nd degree, the whole game changes. The debate is over. Now comes the verdict. Just let that sink in for a second. The chilling power of that statement. It's not about being right or wrong anymore. This kind of judgment doesn't just disagree with what you said. It attacks who you are. It measures you against some invisible norm and finds you deviant. It's like an old psychiatric diagnosis that labels a way of being as an illness. And this is the master's discourse. See, the master doesn't bother debating with the hysteric. The master simply declares what reality is. This discourse creates a moral hierarchy. It defines normal, and by doing that, it automatically creates the abnormal. the thing that needs to be fixed, corrected, or maybe just gotten rid of. Putting them side by side like this makes the shift crystal clear. In degree 1, the judgment is you are wrong. It's basically a disagreement between equals and the focus is on correcting a mistake. But in degree 2, the judgment becomes you are abnormal. That's a verdict handed down from on high, and its goal is to delegitimize your entire being. The stakes just got a whole lot higher. All right, let's go to the final and maybe the most modern form of rejection. We're moving to the third degree, where actual human judgment seems to vanish behind this curtain of data and automated systems. The language gets colder still, doesn't it? You are an outlier. You are atypical. There's no emotion here, no obvious moral judgment. It's all presented as a simple, objective statistical fact. Your loan application wasn't rejected because someone didn't like you. Your risk profile just didn't meet the criteria. See the difference? This is what Lacan calls the university discourse, where all of our knowledge is basically put to work for the system. Judgment here comes from algorithms, from credit scores, from diagnostic manuals. And what's so crucial to understand is that this whole process hides power behind a mask of neutrality. Rejection isn't personal, it's just efficient. The system isn't mad at you, it simply sorts you into the correct category, which sometimes is the discard pile. So we have these 4 degrees, right? We've gone from the gut to the algorithm. But why does this framework actually matter? Because it helps us see the machine at work, out there in the real world. And this table just lays it all out perfectly. Degree 0, at the level of the body, the judgment is feels wrong. Degree 1, the will, is wrong. Degree 2, coming from authority, is abnormal. And degree 3, from the system, is atypical. Each level has its own logic, its own language, and its own Lacanian discourse. And here is the final, most important piece of the puzzle. These degrees aren't separate stages. They're an interlocking machine. They all feed each other. Those unspoken gut feelings from degree 0, they often become the hidden justification for the moral norms of degree 2. And then, those moral norms get laundered through the data of degree 3, hiding their biased origins behind the shiny veneer of objectivity. It's a self-reinforcing machine that step by step erases the actual human subject from the equation. So, you see, this framework doesn't just describe how others judge us, it forces us to turn the question back on ourselves. When we interact with people, when we judge, when we argue, when we build systems, which of these positions are we speaking from? Are we the one questioning power? Are we the one declaring the norms? Or are we just serving the data? The answer, well, it reveals the very structure of power that we ourselves are taking part in.